Big move overall for us in here intraday in the overall markets. That's talking SPY, that's talking your IWMs, that's talking your Qs. Now, the reason for that being, I guess, the first kind of catalyst this morning was definitely NVIDIA and Microsoft. Nice little pop in here that kind of carried everything. And then you had a little bit of divergence in here with your SPY just kind of holding, and then your QQQs kind of hanging out, not trying to figure out what direction they were going to go, whether they were going to get a pullback or not. And then along came all your AI and your semis, and then this thing just took off, and then it was off to the races from there. But all in all, nice move here in NVIDIA on the day, almost 3% up on the day. We were up trading near those 208, so a little lull as we got into close in here. But all in all, we will take a nice big green day in here, starting off the week right, starting off the new month correctly as well. Going forward, what are we looking at in here to the upside? 212 is going to be our main resistance. You can see that was just a spot that we've had trouble with here for the past month or so in here. And that goes all the way back to right around April, where we actually first put up these highs in here for that 212 being a harsh resistance for us. Outside of that, we're going to be looking at 216, 217, and then we're looking at that 225. To the downside in here, we're watching that 9-day EMA, which we did cross and hold today. That's going to be 204. So that's going to be something we're watching going forward immediately at 204. Outside of that, we're looking at 202, and then all the way down here, which is going to be right around that 189 area. That's where your lower trend line is coming with this overall structure. So all in all, we'll take a nice green day in here. We're going to see if it does hold, though. Remember, we do have VIX expiration coming up Wednesday, so that could be something that we could be looking out for, because especially since we got a nice big collapse in our overall IV today, that it could be something that we might get a little pop in as we near that expiration. On the weekly chart, we're also going to take a look at Mara in here. Now, this is something, or this is a stock that's more or less, it's been controlled by this 50-day SMA in here for the past 4 weeks, right? So it's definitely something that we do need to go up, and we do need to breach that harsh resistance, which is currently trading right around those mid 12s. And we need to breach, and we need to get a hold in here. We have earnings coming up August 6th after market in here. You got about $1 expected move being priced in by this Friday. And we're going to see if we get any sort of action in here off of this earnings report, especially to the upside. And if we can get a nice little breach in here of this 50-day SMA, then we're looking up here at this 200, and then we're watching this $16 level here, which is going to be your upper trend line of your overall structure. Your 200 SMA is going to be trading right at 1421 currently. To the downside in here, though, our supports are starting to get tight in here. We are going to be watching that 1073 to the outside of that 973 or 971. And then outside of that, really nothing until you get all the way down here to this lower trend line of this overall structure. Now, if you're going out about a standard deviation in here, your puts are trading for about 30 cents to the upside in here. Your calls are trading for about 38. So a little bit of a call skew in here if you're just going by your straight deltas, but not as much as we would see in these other high flying, very volatile stocks. So you are skewed just slightly in here to the calls, but obviously not as much as these other big stocks that we would have that we've seen here recently. So I wouldn't put too much stake in just saying, hey, this has got a call skew in here. But your IV in here, your IV rank sitting at 42. You got a raw IV about 136. So we're going to see how that affects things as we get closer to that earnings report, what type of collapse or contraction we are going to get as compared to a nice expansion. But all in all, we're trading at 1175 in here on the day, up around 4%. So a nice move, but we do need to get up there to that 50-day SMA and breach and hold and see where we can go from there. If you go out about a couple sigmas in here, you are trading right around 4 cents on your put side. If you go to your calls, basically the same thing. So more or less in here, if you're looking about your 30 delta in here, your half standard deviation, you got a little bit of call skew. You go out a standard deviation, you go out even to your 2 standard deviations, like we just mentioned in here. That's when things start to really even out. And especially that is carrying a earnings report within this expiration cycle. So keep all that in mind. We're going to see how our correlations react as we go throughout this week, especially as we get near that earnings report. We're going to see if our volatility is going to kick in here, or we're going to get some sort of collapse as we near that. But all in all, we will take a nice green day here in Mara. 1421 is where we want to get up to. But first, we need to clear that 1241 50-day SMA in here. That's going to be our first major hurdle that we do need to break. So we'll take a nice big green day in here overall. NVIDIA and Microsoft, nice little push to the start in here. Your chips and your semis kicking in here about midday, and then just pushing everything over the edge. And we're going to see where things shake out overnight in here as we open up pre-market and see where that takes us here as we continue on throughout this new month.